It's like we're on a carousel. It's Friday again. Around and around and around it goes. Joining me on Moohead Radio is Bronk today, and not everybody's dead, but damn close.
Almost everybody's dead.
Damn close. Want to say hi to everybody. Sorry about my somber mood in the last program, but it's a tough time. Bear with me. I don't mean take your clothes off. I mean bear with me. I'm just sitting down because I had to take Rox over to there's a party. She's at a sleepover party, and I don't know why the other people are men.
Was it like Annette Funicello, like beach blanket bingo and all
I
that?
don't think so. I'm sitting there watching all these guys coming in, and she's the only one who went in.
Wow.
I don't know.
There you go. I hope she gets paid a lot of money then.
I don't know why people think I'm clueless about things. I have no idea. No, she's having a fun sleepover with some friends that she's made, and that's a wonderful thing. And I'm here with Topaz the Wolf and Bronk and Rick May.
I'm here with my 4 cats.
and Rick, you've got that right. Fuck the combine. But growing up in Ohio, combines were something on farms.
They still are, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really get into this, numerical thing, as you know from my analytics discussions on the air. Wanted to start the great revelation that came after this week's Monday show was that Kevin Stefanski will be calling the plays again. And
that's news because he shouldn't be calling the plays. Anybody else, that wouldn't be news. But in Cleveland, it's news.
What we have is this headline at Cleveland.com. Why Kevin Stefanski calling plays again is the right move. And other Browns takes from the NFL Combine. We better get Bronk back on here. Where'd you go?
I don't know. Am I here?
Yeah, you're here. Oh. Yeah. So, let me get something straight about Kevin Stefanski calling the plays.
I'll call the plays. There's shit. There's shit plays.
Well, it's more than just that. I mean, if this is a go for it on 4th and 1 kind of league, and if you've paid all this money, $230 million worth to Deshaun Watson, and said, go get him, Tiger. And, what can he do if on 4th and 1 it's a double reverse flea flicker Statue of Liberty play? And I want to make this really clear. People in Cleveland are upset. I see Art Jones is in the chat room, and he's saying, Moo, hey, I've been all week to address this. The Cavs are a disgrace. Well, we'll get to them in a minute.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Not another person who hates Al Horford. My God, I absolutely despise Al Horford.
Al Horford is having a hell of a year, though, behind the arc. Give him that. I mean, you may not like him, but he did his job.
I don't know why I don't like him. He's just, I've just never liked him. So it's one of those things.
Christopher Milton. How you doing? Everything is all right. I went to see my father today. There are small improvements, but man, when you're talking about the type of stroke that he had, it is really, really a long, it would be a horrible long ordeal for a younger person. He's 92. So, he's fighting and doing the best he can, and we're doing the best we can for him. And, as there's more news, I suppose I will share with you. But as of now, he's at least hanging in there, and he is trying to talk. He is able to formulate some words, but right now it's very sporadic and very jumbled, which is what you would expect. So that's where we are with that. The Stefanski situation is fans are going to get upset and pissed off about it. And they're going to say, there's just another reason, man. It's another damn reason not to cheer for the Cleveland Browns. And I'm saying, no, I'm not with you on that, because this is what has to happen for him to get fired.
Correct.
I mean, this is the last step. This is Kevin Stefanski holding his last piece of ground that he can control underneath him today. Because if he comes out and does a shit job calling the plays with Deshaun Watson at the quarterback position,
he's gone.
He's gone. That's it. You'll never hear of him again, except he'll be an underling for a coach in the NFL.
Yep.
So, look, let him go at it in his own way, in his own time, and create his own demise or his own promotion. Yeah. And at this point, it won't be me to say that he's a bad play caller. It won't be for you, the audience, to say. It will be Jimmy Haslam and D, and they will find somebody to replace him pronto. Yeah. So there is no bad news in this. The Browns fans are always looking for nuggets of bad. And it's like, something, I don't think the offseason is an offseason of hope. And I don't think that it's searching for negative nuggets. I just think it is what it is. We know what the Browns need to get better. They need better wide receivers. And I personally thought that they, and obviously better, special teams. The guy who tore his knee, Grant, wasn't that his name?
Grant. Yeah, they restructured its contract.
And hoping that he can come off of, the ACL tear. And, but we just didn't have anybody there, and don't believe these stupid things you're reading about. The Browns could trade Nick Chubb, and I said, yeah, but if I gave that writer a certain drug, he'd be sucking my dick. So, okay, what if? This is what if season, and I don't care about what if. All I care about is you need better personnel. And then if you have better personnel and the play calling reeks, then you get a new offensive coordinator in, and you fire the coach, you bring a new coach in. What we're looking for in Cleveland is an improvement in the defense. I think Jim Schwartz can give us that. Now, we do need personnel. I do think he can get some more out of the people than the previous idiot was, because I think anybody could do as good or better job than Joe Woods did. He just lost the team. The Browns did cut their ties with John Johnson III, of which I am thrilled. I mean, again, I wish him well, and maybe he will, in a different scheme, do better. I got nothing to say about his ability as a player. I'm not going to denigrate him, but you shoot your mouth off, and you're always the one starting the shit and the negativity. You got to go. And let's be honest, his one good season is when he was used kind of in a combo role. In other words, he wasn't on the field for that many plays. Yeah. And I think that the Browns took a shot at him, and I think that people shot holes through him.
Yeah, because I think the Rams knew what they were doing when they got rid of him.
And I think they knew how to use him in the limited places that they used him, and the Browns turned around and tried to expand his role, and he wasn't capable of doing it.
Yeah, he's always the guy that shows up after the tackle's already been made.
Oh, yeah, or just pulls up, or whatever he loses track of, or whatever, avoids contact, whatever it is. He was the first one to shoot his mouth off in the locker room. Correct. And he was supposed to be the veteran, the leader of that group. Well, you know what it looks like when the leader's the wrong guy. He was the wrong guy. He's gone. Yeah. So Kevin Stefanski calling plays, and there's a lot of people saying, do you really think that Deshaun Watson can be as good as he was? And I say he is as good as he was, but this whole notion that it's all about the quarterback, if it was all about the quarterback, then Carson Wentz wouldn't be desperately clinging to the hope of a job. Yeah. I mean, if you put it all, and I'm using him as an example because everybody said, what a find. He was out of like North Dakota State. What a find by the Eagles. Holy moly, this guy is awesome. And yeah, he got hurt. Everybody gets hurt in football, but when he had to play in different schemes and when his attitude rubbed off on other players, he wasn't so great after all. Now, he had a good arm. His head obviously wasn't very good. You put it all on the quarterback, and, it's like saying, well, Patrick Mahomes is the man. And you wonder, if Patrick Mahomes played for the New York Jets, would he be the man?
No.
I mean, he'd be injured, and that was it.
He would be fucking... He would have no ankle whatsoever on any leg.
What I will tell you is this. Wide receiver is the new quarterback, okay?
Yeah.
Because now what we're seeing is teams saying, well, we have to have a Jamar Chase kind of guy. We have to have wide receivers with size and speed who can outfight, outjump, outrun. And the game is all about speed. And if you can't get yourself a name wide receiver, then what happens to your team is what's currently happening with the Ravens. I mean,
you end up being 9-8 forever and not going anywhere.
No, what I'm specifically talking about is that their coach or one of their front office people
somebody like killed the team, threw the team under the bus.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that Justin Bateman, who is the draft pick from he injured himself and he's coming back in his second year, and here's this guy from the front office, and he's basically saying, well, it just shows when you can't get a wide receiver, that's what happens to you. And it's like, first of all, it's your fucking responsibility to get a wide receiver. And two, how does it help by shitting on all the guys who are out on the field? So, again, you can have Lamar Jackson. In fact, you can have him. And he is an amazing athlete. But the fact of the matter is, if he was such a great offensive quarterback in the true mold of the position, why in the hell didn't they get wide receivers? Why did they keep on picking linebackers?
Yeah.
And the second question that you have to ask yourself is, why wasn't the running game improved? And the biggest question is, why would you have Greg Roman as your offensive coordinator? And why would you tell him to basically create an offense that's predicated on the quarterback running and not passing? Why would you set up an offense where the only dependable thing you had was at tight end? And now you're saying, oh, you got to have wide receiver. This is now the common wisdom. So I'm just, basically talking common wisdom amongst football. You hear about quarterbacks. We need a Mahomes. We need that kind of guy. We need a Joe Burrow. We need that kind of guy. But it's always, we need this one Superman. And, the guys who are catching the ball are doing something. I mean, it's not like you can just put any receivers out on the field with a quarterback and make him, God. And you can say, well, Tom Brady got old, and yes, he did, but he didn't have the chemistry.
Yeah, he was like dad to the rest of the team. I mean,
he was less accurate. Guys weren't coming back to the ball. The ball was being thrown outside of them because they weren't coming back to him. They were cutting their patterns off, so he was throwing over their heads. There's a lot that goes on here.
Yeah.
And to say that is what you need, what you really need is a front office that stays ahead of your needs. You cannot draft multiple positions. You've got to create a foundation or a base. And then once you've done that, then you can start filling in with, specialty players and things of that nature. But the Cleveland Browns are too busy drafting place kickers. when they need an interior defensive line. They're too busy, Oprah's son, Perrion, yeah.
Perrion Winfrey.
Yeah, we hire a bad boy, and then he acts like a total dickhead, and we're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And it's like, but we got a bargain on him because he was, down in the 4th round. And it's like, wow, that's pretty damn good. And, hey, we got a hell of a bargain on Anthony Schwartz. He's as fast as Tyreek Hill in a straight line if he doesn't have to catch a football. If you miss on drafts, and this is what's happened to the Ravens, is as good as Ozzie Newsome was, the Ozzie Newsome effect has worn off.
Yeah, he got old too. So yeah.
Well, no, then when they hired the new guy over there, whatever his face is, things all of a sudden, they draft a linebacker and it wouldn't work out. The guy they got from LSU didn't quite work out. What's his name? Queen?
Oh God, yeah, Queek or
number 6, I do believe.
Yeah,
things didn't exactly work out. They wanted the next Ray Lewis, and they didn't get him because this guy didn't kill people. Now, the thing with the Ravens is they were so ahead of the game, and they could fill in their linebacking core, and it was amazing, not only in the draft, but they would pick up guys from other teams, and they would fit right into that scheme. And that scheme was obviously beneficial for a lot of players. Yeah. So, and Christopher Milton is right about something here. And I haven't gotten into all this.
The Fletcher Cox and the other guy, there's rumors.
Yeah, there's talk about it because of the familiarity with Jim Schwartz's system, and that they both flourished in that system. The truth of the matter is there are a bunch of players who would flourish in that system. You just have to be able to identify them by basically what they do, because nobody does it all except for the few, the proud, the Marines. There's very few people who do everything. Reggie White was a guy who kind of did everything, but we don't have. If you want to call Myles Garrett a guy who can do a number of things, that's fine. But you need, and I saw Larry Ogunjobi's name come up, being talked about as a potential acquisition by the Browns to get him back. And if you remember Ogunjobi, he was a great first step defensive lineman, but there were problems with gap kind of integrity.
Yeah,
integrity. And but he was good at getting that first step. And there are a lot of things on what Jim Schwartz calls an attack style defense, which some people call a wide 9. But it's they're looking to take advantage of crevices inside the line and get through and disrupt. I don't know what Joe Woods was espousing, except to go backwards 3 yards. I don't know what the deal is. Do any of the defensive tackles that we currently have, could they actually play in Jim Schwartz's system? Well, I'll tell you something. You're going to find out, because if they don't, they're going to get cut. And that's the end of that. So I'm not worried about Stefanski calling plays, because it is what it has to be. And, it's not like this coming year we're going to be, people are saying, we can get right back into the thick of it. No. You have too many holes because you didn't take care of the roster. The front office has not done a good job drafting, and they haven't gone after needs. You can't possibly build an interior defense, wide receiver position, and totally restructure your defensive scheme and your special teams. And on top of that, change the concept of how the secondary covers all at once. Yeah. And now they're talking about Bates being, but so many teams are looking at Bates, the Bengals guy.
Right.
So many teams that the Browns are just one of many. So I'm not really worried about Kevin Stefanski calling the plays. What I'm concerned about is the team getting better and sustainable better. And I've seen no evidence of that since Jimmy Haslam came. I saw nothing before that changed my mind. That's it. We're not in a position to be sustainably good. We had that one really good year, but in our hearts, you had to know we were not sustainably good.
And that was an easy schedule year, too,
Yeah.
as well. So
there is something else I want to talk about. And the Cavaliers have brought up Sam Merrill from the Cleveland Charge, their G League affiliate.
have you seen a photo of him? He looks like the guy from the X-Ray Specs ad. You know, he looks like Drew Carey when he was like 20 years old.
Well, look, a lot of people can average 20 points in the G League. He's averaging 16. And the fact that he's a 43.2% three-point shooter, I took it to the streets, and I wanted to find out why this guy.
Why is it?
Yeah, why are we going after Sam Merrill when we really need a shooting wing? And this guy's not a wing. They say he's 6'4", but that's a lie. He's 6'3". And I started doing research on this guy. He went to Utah State, and I mean, this has nothing to do with this season, playoffs, making the Cavs better. It has nothing to do with that. The conclusion from talking to people, from reading about him, watching some video of him play, this is a favor. It's a favor to the people who he works with. It is, and this happens in the NBA. If you're trying to curry favor with a certain management firm who represents players that you might be interested in, you do something ridiculous like promote Sam Merrill at the end of a season in a meaningless situation where you have a remaining schedule, which by and large is pretty easy for the Cavaliers if they just keep their heads screwed on straight. But he's not going to make a difference one way or the other. Sam Merrill means nothing. Dylan Windler, the always injured one, has more natural talent by far.
Wow.
Than Sam Merrill, and he's a legitimate 6'8" wing. I mean, right now, if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, you don't have a bench. The only guy that can come off the bench is Caris LeVert. That's it. I mean, Dean Wade is damaged goods, and they really he's injured, and his shoulder never healed properly. He's now turning down shots, and when he was shots, he was rushing them and missing the rim completely. He's not well. And I'll disagree with you, Double P, about Caris LeVert. Caris LeVert is making more of an effort to penetrate and dish than he ever has. In the past, he would get into the paint and just throw up a wild shot. Now he's actually trying to get it to his bigs down low.
I've got a theory about that. I think he's playing better since the trade deadline's gone by.
And that's entirely possible.
I think that's my theory.
I've been all over Caris LeVert because of ball hoggery. And, I've been more than happy to tell you about that on the show. But he's done a better job.
Yep.
But Dean Wade has obviously not recovered. And Jetty Osman, who consistently flashes and then lets everybody down. Isaac Okoro, who flashes and lets everybody down. Isaac Okoro can't start. You can't start on an NBA team if you're not going to shoot the ball. I mean, the thing that's with Okoro that's tantalizing is that if he can knock down the corner three and they come out to cover him. He can get around anybody. He's quick.
Yeah.
Now, he's only 6'4". He's undersized, which means that he's not going to necessarily play major minutes, but he is a physical player who you can line up against different types of players. But if he's not going to take the shot, or what shots he takes, he misses. And, and you look at him and he's scoring, 3 points, 4 points in a game and taking 3 shots, it's of no value.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't work with that. And Jetty Osman is a mistake-a-minute player. He gets hot as a firecracker, but he's got no brain in his head. And I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean to insult the guy. I'm sure he's a very nice guy, but he plays out of control, and they've given him countless chances, and he has played through multiple coaching staffs, and he's Bob Seger. Well, he's still the same. He turned it over yesterday. I mean, I've never seen a guy brainless like this. I mean, he just runs around recklessly, and he's not thinking about, what he's supposed to be doing. So he's played his way off the roster too. You don't have anybody. And that's the problem. I would put Dylan Windler in before I would put Sam Merrill on the floor. And the thing is, with Dylan Windler, he's going to get hurt again. I mean, it's just... right. Yeah, it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Some players just injury prone. But it is a shame because Dylan Windler could shoot. When he was, at Belmont, he could shoot. He had size. He had hops. There was every reason to believe that he could contribute. And then he got hurt, and then his shot went broken like Dean Wade's did, and he's never been able to get back on the floor since. So if for those people who think that Sam Merrill is a response on the part of the Cavaliers to improve their team, think again. The real issue is Priority Sports, who represents Sam Merrill. Priority Sports recommends, they handle many different players. And some of them are known to be, or were already this past season at the trade deadline, known to be in the eye shot of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Guys like Doug McDermott. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head the people who are represented by Priority Sports. They're a group of people who is the other guy that there was absolute. Hardaway was another one. There are at least 3 players that they represent that the Cavaliers were interested in, but just couldn't pull the trigger on a deal. And I think this is a way to say, make nice to Priority Sports. Give a guy from Utah State who doesn't have the athletic ability to get his shot off at the NBA level, and do him a favor and bring him up to a roster in a part of the season where there are going to be soft minutes only available, but only if we're ahead by 25 points. And hey, you're doing somebody a solid. That's what this is. So that everyone understands. That's kind of what the deal is. This was one of my favorite headlines. Not that there's that much going on right now. We're in the early stages of spring training, and all the young arms of the Cleveland Guardians pitching staff were injured already. They're the guy with no hamate bone that was their number 1 prospect in the minor leagues, and his wrist is hurting him again.
Oh dear.
And so it goes. And with this, these are the only things we really have to talk about, right? Because there's not any real games or anything like that to talk about. People want to talk about silly things like.
Well, I'll give you something
clocks.
silly. I actually got a marketing idea for the Cleveland Guardians.
Yes.
Because maybe we know people listen to this show and copy ideas and stuff. You know how you have the dogs? It was Frank Minifield and Hanford Dixon start the dogs with the Browns.
Yep.
The Cavaliers have Moondog, and they've got the Junkyard Dog Award thing, so they got a dog thing going too. Why don't the Guardians have a guard dog? You know, they could have like a German Shepherd, or they could get rid of Slider. Slider is like Philly fanatic 20th century. Nobody gives a shit about Slider. And have like a dog, and then have like every weekend day bring your dog to the ballpark and have it be the guard dogs and have Rally Dog and all that. And that way all three franchises can all call themselves dogs unofficially. You know, and I think the name Guard Dog would probably stick. The Cleveland Dogs or the Cleveland Guards or whatever, because Guardians is just a mouthful and nobody's comfortable with it.
Yeah, I already covered that silly one. Trade Nick Chubb. Yeah, I've read that too, Double P. Really ridiculous. The headline, with all as little as going on is going on. Can those who observe meatless Fridays eat meat at Progressive Field on Good Friday? You could eat my meat. Oh!
Why are we playing baseball on Good Friday?
First of all, what was so fucking good about it, eh?
Exactly. People died that day.
I know. Why is that? And the other thing is, can you eat meat if you're observing meatless? That is a contradiction. You can't eat meat if you're observing meatless Fridays. All right. So right off the bat, the person who wrote this article, who I will call out, Mark Bona at Cleveland.com,
go through high school with that name. Jeez.
Can Catholics who observe meatless Fridays eat meat on Good Friday, which this year falls on the Cleveland Guardians home opener? It plumps when you cook 'em, ballpark Franks.
Yeah, you could definitely eat hot dogs. There's never been any meat in those.
Yeah, rat. Let me tell you something, Mark Bona. The only thing Catholics did is kill fucking people. Scientific people, geniuses, brilliant people, great writers.
Yep. Anybody
fucking crusades. There is nothing about Catholicism that is contemporary. Nothing that needs to be talked about. If you want your services in Latin, that's fine. I'll take mine in Pig Latin. Thank you, Mr. Bona.
Wow.
The fact of the matter is, what you're saying is, well, maybe there's meatless meat in the stadium. You have plant-based stuff.
Yep.
And wouldn't that be a smarter way of going about this article?
Wow.
So he's telling us that if you observe meatless Fridays, you can skip the hot dogs, hamburgers, bratwurst, chicken, and beef tacos. It's like, really? Is that what meatless means? You can't eat nachos with slow-cooked meat, Italian sandwiches, and many other items. But hey, there are fish sandwiches at the Build-A-Burger stand on the main concourse, in addition to the plain cheese frozen pizza and pretzels throughout the park.
Yeah, you can get all the fish you want from the Ohio River. Just reach in and pull them out. They're floating on the top.
And it's like, here's what Curtis Danberg, the vice president of communications, told Mr. Bona. It's consistent. We had Good Friday last year, too. We have it every fucking year. Curtis?
Depends on where the moon shows up in March and April when we have Good Friday.
The fact that there are fish sandwiches only, and you get them at the Build-A-Burger stand, that means you have to stand in a sinful fucking line to get a fish sandwich. You know, Curtis Danberg, you're a dumb fuck. The fact of the matter is, and you can get a cheese pizza. It's like, the answer to the question is, if you are a devout Catholic, You're not looking for meat at the ballpark.
Hey, you're not going to the ballpark, first of all, probably.
Okay? I mean, you can't be that stupid. But there's the article. All right.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't even get me going about the East Palestine fish sandwich.
Yeah.
The four-eyed fish sandwich.
Glow-in-the-dark fish sandwich. Oh, dear.
Then there's this. I mean, I love little headlines. Tyrone Lue says the Clippers got to be tougher in the middle of a 4-game skid since they got their hands on. Can you name who has brought his losing ways to the Clippers?
Oh, God. Russell Westbrook?
I mean, it's like you sign Russell Westbrook, and you know something? By the time you're done, you want to be a Catholic. There is no real God, okay? Russell Westbrook. It's like,
wow.
And you're Tyronn Lue, and you're sitting there saying, we got to be tougher. You're looking at Russell Westbrook. I used to have a character on the show, and I'll bring him back. Not like Mr. Celery or
Oh.
Yeah, not like that. I had a character called the Misery Seal. And the Misery Seal was kind of a sea lion, if you will.
Yes.
And think of the way the Caddyshack gopher would move.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing that, right?
Doing the dance.
So what would happen to teams like wherever Russell Westbrook goes? They would lose games in incredibly close circumstances, and on the fucking Jumbotron would be this Misery Seal. And he'd be going, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you lost again. Oh, yeah. And what he would do is he would materialize on the bench so that it's like fans could see him. It's like, no! And they would know that they were going to lose the game. And he'd be sitting next to Russell Westbrook on the bench. He'd follow Russell Westbrook from town to town, whichever city he played for. Unbelievable. I mean, who wants him?
Yeah.
Why would you want him? They're 33-32 right now, and they blew a 12-point lead in the third quarter and lost by 24 points to the Golden State Warriors. And they haven't won since entering the All-Star break. And you see, entering the All-Star break, they had won 10 of 14. And then Russell Westbrook comes along. They've blown leads of 14, 12, and 12 points by losing to Sacramento, Denver, and Golden State since the break. To compound matters, they're going to try to win without Kawhi Leonard when they face the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento tonight. And Kawhi is sitting out back-to-back games because, the right ACL surgery that he's recovering from, which is typical protocol. Double P. Thank you for the message, Father Mark Bona. I am more prepared to go meatless at the game and drink $5 beers. I want to see if I can find a Catholic girl who will give me a blowjob on Good Friday. Because that would sure as hell make it good for me. But it would not be meatless for her.
Wow.
Just saying. I hope I'm not offending any Catholics. You just go out and just keep killing what you don't understand. and you just keep saying the earth is flat. You go for it. And you keep electing a pope.
Sun goes around the earth, I think.
Yeah, and you just keep on with the virgin birth and the all the other things that you realize. And I hate to be critical because people have faith, and it's great that people have faith, and but realistically, Heaven's Gate was a cult that believed that they would end up dying and going to heaven, but only if they were wearing certain tennis shoes. Do you remember them?
Yep.
Yep. Doe and T, those two guys, the guy who had castrated himself. It's like, nah. Yeah, that's not the guy I want for a leader. If I'm in a cult, it's like, no, I'm not following that example. I'm sorry. I mean, sign of faith, yeah. But I mean, so you got to get yourself castrated and you got to wear the tennis shoes. And then you're going to go to the next level, right? And that's crazy. Everyone would agree that's a cult. But a virgin birth? No, they're going to believe in that. And people ask me, well, what's the difference between religion and a cult? And I'd say the degree of difficulty of believing. I mean, maybe there is one virgin birth, okay? But the castrate yourself in the tennis shoes thing, I mean, that's kind of stretching things out a little bit.
Wow. We're covering it all today, aren't we?
We are. And don't mess with Chris Christopherson. Heaven's Gate was terrible. That was. I always wanted to ask the director of that movie. It's like, I know you were striving for realism, but you can't have like fight scenes with clouds of dirt and dust obscuring the view of the person watching the movie. I'm sorry. If there's a goddamn violent fight scene, I want to see it. I'm on my getting to the last episode of Better Call Saul. And, I already saw, Howard get shot in the head. I'm glad I saw that because had a bunch of smoke appeared on the screen and then you just hear a gun with a silencer and you say, well, who in the fuck got shot? And they would never explain it to you. That was Heaven's Gate.
Well, that was just a way of saving money too. So that they could cut away and not actually have to do the special effects.
Nobody from Waco, okay? Add a C. I mean, where else could that cult have been? Waco. And then, of course, our favorite, David, the Reverend Jim Jones. If you want belief, and I say the extremes of belief, it's like you got to take the poison. It's like the people playing catch in West Virginia in the mountains with rattlesnakes, right? It's like, if you believe, that won't kill you. And so guy gets bit, dies, he lacked faith. That's it. Mark A. Lewis Jr. has a question for me. How you doing tonight? I had a question. Do you think that the train derailment in East Palestine is going to have an effect on Ohio sports and nearby bordering communities? Have an effect? Just a little. If people dying of cancer is considered an effect. I mean, they weren't telling the truth to these people. I mean, it's... and right here, if you look in Bradenton, Florida, a train went over and spilled liquid propane all over.
Oh.
Yep. The problem here is that we are transporting dangerous materials in a device that's still called an iron horse. And to be very honest with you, that was like what the Trojans did. We'll build a little horse, we'll jump out of it, and that's that. The fact of the matter is, the people in East Palestine and the surrounding areas, their land, their water, their well water, it's polluted. And the long-term effects, you're not going to hear about because the media wouldn't even cover the goddamn thing to begin with. And when people say my children have cancer, or my husband died of cancer, or my wife died of cancer, and people just go, oh, it's the way the cookie crumbles. And it's like, no, in a population of 5,000 people, why do we have like an 8 times higher incident? And it's the same thing like with the Love Canal. They denied that too. And they had to clear everybody the fuck out of there. it's an unfortunate thing, very unfortunate thing. And Mark A. Lewis, I spoke about it the day that it happened, or actually when it was first being talked about. It's not when it happened, because none of our news sources, CNN and Fox and all of them, none of them were reporting it. Nothing. Yes, because little town, 5,000 people, who gives a fuck? You know? And anyway, the railway company is saying it really is not that big a deal. And that's that. It's really sad.
Train derailments seem to be all the rage. There was a massive one in Greece that killed about 70, 80 people. I don't know whether you've even seen that on your news.
It killed Zuko.
Yeah.
And Sandy. Oh, not that Greece. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My mind works on a different level. I'm a cow. I have multiple stomachs and a lame brain.
No.
Yeah, but it's, to me, the sad part of it all is that good, innocent people were told to go back to their homes. And, you know, they hadn't done a cleanup. They hadn't done anything. And they said, it's okay now. You know, we put up a plume of smoke in the sky and burned it off into the environment. If you're wondering why your neighbor is coughing up his lung, that's probably what. But that won't last forever. And neither will the lung.
Well, I mean, there's a long history of that. I mean, look at all those servicemen that were guinea pigs for nuclear testing back in the 40s and 50s. You know, America particularly does like having guinea pigs out there to see whether things are toxic or not. Now,
here's another thing that one of the reasons that and Bloby is Topaz here. I'm petting him. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for the attention. No. Wide receiver Jordan Addison doesn't have much control over his future home, but he really likes the idea of teaming with Steelers quarterback and former Pitt teammate Kenny Pickett. Hey, man, if we reunite, that'd be good, Addison said. That'd be real cool. Real easy transition. Come get me. It's like, I need a job.
Yeah.
I really need a job, and I'm going to say nice things to whoever I need to say nice things, but don't hitch your wagon to Kenny Pickett. Not yet. I mean, maybe he'll be good, you know?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Aaron Brockovich is the name that
Aaron Brockovich, and that, I think, yeah, and that's kind of similar to the situation that's there. I think there was a movie with John Travolta called A Civil Action that was also kind of
maybe Cheryl show up with Meryl Streep as well. That'll be the next thing.
Yeah. So at any rate, I think it's interesting that this time of the year, players will say what they need to say just to get into the NFL. And if you're going to go and play with Kenny Pickett, that's good for you. But I wouldn't hitch my wagon to a guy who's not even guaranteed to be a starting quarterback beyond this season. Because he comes out and he starts throwing picks like he did last year. Pickett, you know, pick it off, pick your nose, Steeler fans.
Pickett's charge didn't go down very well either.
Pickett 6, as if he throws a really bad interception. Yeah, it's not an assured thing. If Baker Mayfield couldn't pull it off, you know, the fact of the matter is it doesn't take long to work your way out of the league when you're a quarterback who turns the ball over.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's going to be a very transitional year in the NFL. And I also think that some of these quarterbacks like Mahomes and Josh Allen and Burrow have been riding their luck with not having injuries that are season ending, and this might be the year that catches up with them.
Look, anybody can go down. Deshaun Watson can go down.
Yeah,
anybody can. Now there is a comment to live by.
Wilson Pickett.
Yeah, that's right.
Pickett Wilson.
Besides, when a man loves a woman, what else did Wilson Pickett sing? And you know what I wanted to do? Back when he sang it, not Wilson Pickett, Michael Bolton. You knew he was going to end up going bald because his hair was so thin back in the 80s. So he wanted to rip his hair off right then and there. It's like, don't sing Wilson Pickett. Don't do that. Good, Mark Lewis. Thank you. Mustang Sally.
I was going to say Land of the Thousand Dances. Da, na, na, na.
No, that was Cannibal and the Headhunters.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, it was my job. Yeah, it's interesting. Mustang Sally, I forgot about that song. And look who was right behind him with it, Rick May. Rick May is our resident music guy. Can't fool Rick May. I've said everything I wanted to say, really, because, we don't have a game until tomorrow, Cavaliers. We are getting into an easier part of the schedule for a little while, and then we're going to play Miami twice. That's going to be very important. And, it's going to be hard. We have to play other people minutes to keep our guys fresh. We do have a lack of back-to-backs now, which is great, with 2 to 3 day rests in between games. And that's really awesome. But still, people have to, oh man, David, how could I forget that one?
The midnight hour, yeah.
That's when his love comes tumbling down. Absolutely.
It's getting near the midnight hour where I am.
Yeah.
Another 8 minutes.
Way to go, David.
Yeah.
I can't believe I missed that one. Damn. But everybody, I appreciate the support. I appreciate
what would Tommy Heinsohn have thought of that Celtics Cavs game? Let's hear what Tommy would have said.
What you got happening here is very simple. We did what we had to do when we needed to do it. Marcus Smart, right there. Marcus Smart. Green hair. You know something?
Hair.
That's a black man with green hair. He's Boston through and through.
There you go.
That's what he would say. Not that it would make any sense or have any reason to be said. It's kind of like listening to Mike Fratello. Mike Fratello, look, when he was coach, it was really dull watching the Tyrone Hill-led Cleveland Cavaliers walk the ball up and down the floor. But God, his commentary, it's like, and that's why we have to make sure that we come off the screens and we know which way people are moving. And it's like, and meanwhile, play-by-play guy is like, moving on to the third quarter here. Yeah.
Oh dear. I know Doris Burke and the other Ryan Seacrest or whatever his name is.
I would rather play the Austin Carr drinking game than have to listen to Mike Fratello. Honest to God.
My knee.
It's like, back when I was playing the game, you hurt your knee like that, might as well shoot yourself out of a cannon. I really don't. And that Austin has to be fuming because it's like, if they mention the 63-point game against Ohio University one more time, and it's like, he never made any kind of money compared to the people today.
God, no. That's why he's still working. He's well older than you or I. He's got to be.
Chubbo Wubba Hub. That's the trash men. Sorry, it's my job. At any rate, be that as may, I can always turn the sound down. So I got that going for me. But I want to thank everybody for the prayers and for the kind words. And we're working to. Oh God, Tony, what happened to Fred McLeod? He's dead.
Dead. He is dead. Everybody's dead.
He died.
He actually is dead.
Yeah, he passed away. Kind of a sad story.
It was quite sudden, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. Nobody really saw it coming. And, yep, that's what happened to him. But I do appreciate everybody who has reached out and said kind things. And it's really been a very difficult time. But everybody's trying to work their way through it. And I think everybody's attitude is a little bit better. It's just such a shock. Even when man is 92 years old, it's your father, for God's sakes. It's like, It's shocking. And you grow up with somebody and my father is always a very aggressive person. And to see him helpless like that, it breaks my heart. It really does. But your kind words out there, it makes a difference. It really does. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. Back again come Monday on The Rebound. I will see you then. Until next time, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
Bye.